Gary YouTube from Cultaholic, joined by a second Gary YouTube as we do some more Gary YouTubing, guys, in the form of a tier list with some bath bombs. We're going to go to the body shop.
Yeah, we can go to Gary YouTube's like the body shop.
Either go down and buy
bit of lush for Gary YouTube.
50 bath bombs in a bath. Let's see what happens on this tier ranking video for the single best era in all of professional wrestling.
Bring
if
it back.
Say anything else, you're a liar, because WWE says so. Because still, as we're here in the year 2020, it's playing such a big role. It's the Attitude Era. How are you doing, Gary?
Gary, I am absolutely fantastic. As you say, this is the greatest era of all wrestling. All of it was brilliant. There was nothing bad in the Attitude Era. So let's celebrate that with a tier list, shall we?
Yes, let's do that. Hit the intro. You might not know, of course, how these Gary YouTube tier list works. We have a series of tiers here. We'll put the people in the tiers. We have the best. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, just about bearable, and get in the bin. And crucially, we are judging the following superstars on what they did during the Attitude Era. It started with Shawn Michaels' crotch, or Shawn Michaels doing something else. That is up in the air. What's the start of the Attitude Era in your opinion?
I would go, the sort of formation of DX. Austin 316,
Austin
the promo,
316.
I think is a fair shout as well.
Somewhere in 1997, I would say, the Attitude Era got off properly. And it ended at WrestleMania 17.
Horrible, man.
What was that?
The Vincent Austin.
Oh, right.
I wasn't just being nice,
Ross. I agree with you.
I am being nice to you. There you go.
There we go. Right, so we're starting with Bret Hart, which is a weird one to start with because, of course, by November of 1997, he was gone.
Right. So we're talking about these just in the Attitude Era, as you say. Early Bret Hart was one of my favourite characters ever because he Hulk Hogan was a superhero and everything, but once you got to a certain age, you grew out of him. Bret Hart became a believable hero. He was a real human being, unlike the big moustache mess that was Hulk Hogan. I'm kidding, obviously. I'm joking. Hogan was great too. I would definitely say he's the best, even though he wasn't around in the Attitude Era for very long. Heart Foundation stuff, tremendous. And that's where he really sort of nailed his promos as well.
I was going to say that's what would put him in the best for me, because when people always say on the podcast, because Matthew is such a big Bret Hart fan, Bret versus Shawn, I always go with Shawn. Just because I thought Bret as a babyface was a little bit on the boring side with the microphone in hand. Fully appreciate the unbelievable professional wrestler, but when it came to his promos, his heel stuff in 1997 was unbelievable, Jeff.
Right. Who would you say is the better man? If you were watching WWE TV before the Attitude Era with Bret, babyface Bret and babyface Shawn are there. Who's the more believable good guy? Who do you think is actually the good man?
Oh, Bret.
It's Bret. That's why he's a better babyface than Michaels.
Ooh.
Without a doubt. Because you just believed it. You believed it. And that's because a lot of it was true.
Yeah.
He believed what he was saying. And his early promos weren't especially fantastic. Jim did a lot of the talking for him. By the Attitude Era, he'd gotten really good. The Heart Foundation stuff was tremendous. Great leader.
He was swearing at Vince McMahon on the air. On the air! Horrible. Unprecedented.
Great heel.
But obviously his run in the Attitude Era did get cut short with the screw job, which you've never heard about before.
What? We should do a list on
that. We should probably reference that in more videos. But I reckon he deserves to go in the best, because I think if people look at this tier list at the end and we don't have Bret Hart in the best, we'll get pelters from all angles.
Understandably so. Because it's a weird one, because we do these big long lists, and Bret has been near the top a fair few times and we get accused of bias, but you go back and watch Bret matches and everything from the character to the in-ring work was believable. It felt like a real sporting contest. His punches look real, his selling looked real. Oh, he's the best.
And thanks for your Patreon money, Bret. So next up we have Goldust, who went through a bloody catalogue of things during the Attitude Era. We had the sort of mysterious, ambiguous deviant. Then we had the gimp. And then he went away and came back at the Royal Rumble, but that was when the Attitude Era had done. What else did we have during the Attitude Era? Those are the two.
I mean, the artist formerly known as Goldust wasn't just a gimp. He did all sorts of
drag and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One thing you cannot question when it comes to Goldust is dedication.
His commitment to the character, which is a character that he apparently wasn't especially comfortable playing at start, was fantastic. And he was a really interesting, memorable Attitude Era character. I would suggest Lovely, Lovely, Lovely.
I would suggest the same as well. And we always got to go back to that story with Vince McMahon. I don't know if he's debunked it. He might have. It's sort of ringing the bell in the back of my mind that he did say it was fake. But him asking Vince McMahon for a breast implant to further his character.
And Vince said no.
Vince McMahon said no, that's too far. So imagine that. But Gold, he's just an iconic wrestling character, isn't he? That's all you have to say at the end of the day.
Yeah,
maybe
really is.
I would argue that today, in 2020, his in-ring work rate malarkey and all that stuff is better than it was back then.
Oh, I don't know, because some of the IC title matches were really good. I mean, he made Ahmed Johnson look half decent, which isn't easy. I really appreciated a lot of his matches. I even like the stuff like with Piper. Like when I was watching growing up, I was just like, yeah, this is cool, isn't it? The OJ nonsense. I feel a bit differently now. Bizarre is the way to describe him. Both, yeah.
He is the bizarre one.
He is the bizarre one.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Nearly in the best, but certainly iconic. There he is. So next up we have his former manager / wife / everything in the world, Terry, who was just hopping around from wrestler to wrestler to wrestler in this managerial role in the Attitude Era. She was part of PMS, that wonderfully named stable with other female wrestlers. Jacqueline was one. Who was the third one? I've completely forgotten. Was it
Ivory?
No, it wasn't Ivory, was it?
I can't remember.
Let us know in the comments below, but all I remember from that is them putting whipped cream on a naked Mark Henry and licking it off and stuff like that while he was tied up by them.
Bring it back. Come on. It's the Attitude Era. We love it.
Everything was great about it. We all want to see Mark Henry with whipped cream on his nipples, don't we? But Terry also did a bit of backstage interviewing during this time.
She did. She was with the Hardy Boys.
She was
No, not TNA. Perry Saturn, sorry.
Perry Saturn, yeah. The horny little she-devil she was. She was always around and about. She always was good in her role. I think all right is probably just about the right level for Terry.
Yeah, I agree. I don't remember her doing anything especially memorable, but I remember her just playing her role well.
And I think when people look at her now, as looking back 30 years now, it's always Marlena, isn't it? It's never really Terry. It's always she was Marlena. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think,
All right.
And then we have Jim the Anvil. Of course, the Hart Foundation was a thing during the Attitude Era for a little bit there. And Jim, I think it's fair to say his best days were behind him by this point. Yep. Certainly the tag team with Bret in the 80s maybe was his peak. Is that fair to say?
No, I would agree. Yeah. I feel like he always got lost in the shuffle a little bit in the Hart Foundation because if Bulldog wasn't there, he would have been playing the big henchman role. But Bulldog was there, and Bulldog by that point was just a little bit better than Jim Neidhart and just doing more stuff. I think he was great on promos, but the promos that I remember him for were, the classic Hart Foundation stuff, the cackling and all that stuff, and basically carrying Bret where he needed carrying because Bret wasn't great at promos back then. But by this time in the Attitude Era, he was all right. Yeah,
well, we're putting him here. It's got to be all right down, hasn't it? As a ceiling, just because he didn't do too much. Obviously, the Jim Neidhart's done a lot of stuff during his career, but by the time the Attitude Era came around, he was sort of out the door quickly and in WCW for a bit, I think. Yeah. So we've got a ceiling here, Adam. How high is the ceiling?
All right. I think he's all right. Yeah. In the Attitude Era alone, he's all right. Had this list been referencing 5 years prior, it would have been lovely, lovely, lovely. Towards the bottom end, probably. But I think he's all right.
Fine with all right. So next up, we have the man on the train. I had no idea what that was when I was playing SmackDown when he came out. Did you?
Wait until we get to Val Venus. Not a clue. Not a clue. Yeah, right. So, obviously he's done everything. Charles Wright, he was Papi Shango, he was Kama Mustafa. So this sort of covers both the Godfather, the Good Father, and Kama in the NOD.
Yeah.
All of which I thought were... You know what? No, Godfather, lovely, lovely, lovely. Because I was so entertained by it as a kid. Come aboard the Ho train, all the catchphrases and stuff. Or when he came out with the Ho train.
Smoking a fatty with that.
It was good. It was really funny. You couldn't get away with it now, but it was enjoyable. He was an entertaining character. No especially brilliant matches or anything, but he was about character.
He wasn't there for great matches, was he? He was there for everyone to be entertained, and he certainly did that job when he was the Good Father. Not so much when he was Kama Mustafa, the ultimate fighting machine and all that stuff, and not so much when he was the Good Father, but then again, that was the right 2 cents, so that was not his job. But the Godfather... It's one of the iconic characters of professional wrestling, as weird as it is to say. So much so that he does it for a living now.
Exactly.
He owns a strip club in Las Vegas.
He certainly does. The Something Lounge. I should know that. I've recorded it for Where Are They Now videos about 3 times now. The Tiger Lounge? Something like that.
The Tiger Lounge.
Down there. So, yeah, I think Godfather is... I think he's lovely.
Lovely. It's got to be. It's got to be at least.
Yeah, I think that's fair. As you say, if you can still monetize a character 20 years on, then fair play to you, and that shows how effective it was.
I think I was watching the 2013 Rumble, just before the Rumble happened there this year, and when he came out, I think it was 2013, he came out as a shocking entry, and everyone went bananas. 2013 that was, and that character was done by 2000, wasn't it?
Yeah. It just shows how powerful these characters were to so many people. And just a career mid-card guy getting that sort of pop.
Well, that was the thing, a big difference between now and then. It's coming back a little bit more on Raw, but everyone had a big storyline back then, didn't they? Everyone up and down the card. Yeah, you're right. Everyone was involved in storylines all the time. You were invested in all of the people because, you cared about what they were doing, and that's something you don't get enough today. And it was like, even if they weren't involved in title feuds, they were still involved in stories. You understood what they were doing, what their motivations were, and that's missing today. So then we have Simba, as Jerry Lawler used to call him all the time, Shane McMahon, but not the best in the world, Shane McMahon. We have Vince McMahon's son, the spoiled brat, Shane McMahon, who was a part-time wrestler, but primarily he was a mouthpiece, he was a manager, he commentated on Sunday Night Heat for a bit, and he's the major reason I had such a big issue with Shane McMahon in 2019 or 18 being the best in the world. Because when we were growing up, Shane was never a full-time wrestler. Yes, he did the big stunts and whatnot later on after the Attitude Era stopped. But he was a part-time wrestler who was he was good and he showcased that he could do some things in the ring, but he was never beating Roman Reigns or people on Roman Reigns' level in Saudi Arabia. That was the major disconnect for me.
Of course.
How 20 years on, he could be so much better than he was back then, and he's pumped, Bonnie. Well, we all go downhill after 30, don't we?
We certainly do. How old are you? 29?
I'm 27.
27 are you? Sorry,
I always look 39.
Right. I think Shane was great because I think it's such a brilliant character and one that people can relate to. In that, imagine if, I don't know, we were working somewhere else, the boss's son walks in and he gets these accolades, like he's in that photo there, he's European champion. He gets all that and he's got his preppy, knobby mates with him in the Mean Street Posse, who I think are really underrated. We'll get to them in a bit as well. I think it was a really good character, and I think it's a character that he played well.
Yeah, because it was real.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It was real. And he was very entertaining in that role, in a good way as well. You hated him when you need to hate him, but also he had that thing where certain heels can make you laugh, and Shane could do that back then. He did it. Well, the most recent run, of course, but not. I don't think he intended to as much as he
Yes,
did.
he did. When he won the trophy, he's sweating everywhere with that face. He knows what he's doing.
He's trying to garner sympathy from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. He's going, ooh, ooh, ooh. But Shane McMahon back then, it's at least lovely.
Yeah.
It's at least, I think.
Bottom end of lovely.
Bottom end of lovely. He played his role well. So then we have the Dudley Boyz, which is, if you're asking me, I think they deserve to go in the best.
I think I agree with you. They're one of the best tag teams of all time. They were certainly top 3 tag teams, along with Edge and Christian and the Hardys in the Attitude Era. Like, there were tiers within themselves, weren't there, back there? And you had, those 3 involved in the TLC matches, the first 2. And then below them, you had, the APA, you had Test and Albert, various others. And yeah, I would say, you know what? If we were doing a tier list of tag teams, they would be in the best as well. And I think they're in the best in the Attitude Era. Devon Get the Tables, iconic line, consistently entertaining when they were heels and putting Mae Young and whatever through tables. It was detestable.
And as we say before, the end of the official end of the Attitude Era, we had TLC 2, I think, at WrestleMania 7. Was it TLC 2? No. TLC 1 at WrestleMania 17. I always get these TLC numbers mixed up. But we had the ladder match as well, the triple ladder match.
Yeah.
That had all happened within the Attitude Era. They came and made a big noise. They had that famous match with the APA when they first arrived, where the APA were told to go out there and beat them up, like they did with Public Enemy. Public Enemy couldn't hack it. These 2 lads proved they could. They went on and had great success after that. But I reckon they're just... That's why they got their run a few years ago, just because of what they did during the Attitude Era more than anything else.
I remember
came back wearing the same clothes they're wearing there. A picture I think that was taken in 2001. The best for me.
Yeah, I agree. I nothing to add to that. I think they're, yeah.
So just because I think a lot of the best tier in this video will be very obvious, like the next one will be, The Rock. He's in the best tier, isn't he? I think for the first time ever, we're going to consciously rank just the best tier within the best tier.
I think that's sensible.
And I think The Rock, for the Attitude Era, goes head and shoulders above Bret Hart.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Obviously, The Rock had a rough start with Rocky Maivia. Then he found his footing in the Nation of Domination, and then he went on to become one of the best wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
What can you say about The Rock?
Yeah.
There's a reason that he's the most highly paid actor in all of Hollywood now. Because he is so consistently entertaining no matter what he's doing. He's one of the hardest workers ever. And man, yeah, he's top of the best, isn't he?
It just makes you wonder, because you look at The Rock's career trajectory when he first arrived. Rocky Maivia didn't work. Die, Rocky, die. They turned him heel. And then he became so good as a heel, you couldn't help but cheer him. And then whoosh, off he went. Imagine if they did that with Roman Reigns back in 2016.
Such an easy fix, isn't it? Why didn't they?
Die, Rocky, die, and Roman's hatred in 2016 especially, they got to be near. I don't think people were saying die Roman die, but still, levels of hatred was up there. Turn him heel, and who knows? Because there's still that little bit with me now that we've realised that the Fiend was sacrificed to Goldberg for the good of Roman. That whole 2016 sort of feelings come back at me. I don't know about you.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think, like, and you can imagine the promos that Roman could have been doing.
Yeah.
One of his best promo ever, when he said, "This is my yard now." Imagine that had led on, and like The Rock had come back, and Roman and said, the Rock goes, "Oh, I've been through all this before. I know what you're thinking." And Roman spears Rock or something like that. He could have been one of the most compelling heels on TV, Roman Reigns. But yeah, what do you say about The Rock? He's the
top
Rock,
of the best,
yeah, without a doubt.
So then we have Stephanie, who during the Attitude Era was the damsel in distress, with her dad having The Undertaker steal her for his benefit. That's a thing that happened. Then we had her getting married almost to Test, but actually getting married, whether she wanted to or not, to Triple H. And then she turned into an absolute arsehole as part of the McMahon-Helmsley era. At least lovely, 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 I would say.
I agree. I think, when she was paired with Trips especially, they were just a detestable couple, weren't they? And she played her role very well there. She was one half of that.
And this might be hard to believe for younger viewers of this video. When she was the damsel in distress, she just looked like a nice young lady.
Yeah, she played the babyface role really well as well. I remember feeling sympathy for her, which is what you want to feel for a babyface. And then I remember massively resenting her for being a dastardly, conniving heel. She was really good. Like, we're not talking about the Stephanie McMahon that we know today that invented women's wrestling. We're talking about a very different Stephanie McMahon.
And the one that just cuts everybody's bowels off when she gets the chance to share a screen with them, with no comeuppance whatsoever. She got stolen by The Undertaker back then, and that's comeuppance enough for me. Next up, we have the Big Boss Man, who I personally, as a child, hated.
Why?
And for all the right reasons as well. He turned up, he was a horrible bastard. The theme is it fit the character so well, but when I heard it anyway, it was always like, oh, it's the Big Boss Man, he's coming. Because he was always playing the henchman role, whether it be with the corporation, but his big single feuds as well with the Big Show, with the Coffin, fantastic professional wrestling, when he murdered a small dog. Chihuahua and put it in some sort of curry. I can't remember what type of food it was. Maybe it was some minced spaghetti bolognese. I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, it was in a hotel room. He put a dog in some food, and Al Snow ate his own dog. Kennel of Hell.
Bring it back, come on.
Kennel of Hell. He was hanged by The Undertaker.
I had no idea how they did that. I remember watching that, and you see his string go like that, and he's turning red. I was like, Jesus Christ, somebody stop this damn action. There's a hook at the back, isn't it? I've seen The Masked Magician, Ross, you don't have to tell me.
It was wonderfully done. He played his role, because obviously we knew one Big Boss Man back at the late 80s. He was, Cobb County, Georgia. And this was the opposite.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Everything was just turned down, including the colour gradient on his clothes, because they were all black.
Yeah, but it was a decent evolution of it, wasn't it? Because I guess the Big Boss Man that we knew from Cobb County, Georgia, I mean this one was too, but the guy in the blue shirt was a sort of a bit more of a caricature, a bit more of a sort of comic book style maybe policeman. Here he was just a horrible, horrible he was corrupt, still had the nightstick and all that sort of stuff, so he was still using elements of his old character, but he had evolved it for a new audience. And I think he did that very effectively, but perhaps not enough to get past all right for me in the Attitude Era.
And of course he gave birth to 3 lovely children called Dean Ambrose, Roman and Seth. An iconic look as well. Oh, that's one thing you'd realise in here, just how the costume department at WWF back then nailed it every time, didn't they?
Especially Ahmed Johnson, who we'll get to in a bit.
But I think Big Boss Man, Attitude Era, top of all right, I would say.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yep, no arguments.
I think I might be slightly harsh, but top of all right. Now here we have Ken Shamrock, who never did anything for me. Because I was a WCW child growing up. I had the VHS with Goldberg and Sting on. I saw Goldberg looking kind of like Ken Shamrock, swole trunks, MMA gloves, flattening people. But Goldberg did a lot more for me than Ken Shamrock did.
I guess more impactful moves, the spear and the jackhammer, just incredible finishes or signatures and finishes, whatever you want to call them. I think the thing with Ken Shamrock that I didn't get as a kid is that he came in, and I didn't know what MMA was, but he was a real fighter. But I mostly believed that wrestling was real anyway. So they're all real fighters. So why is this guy any different? So maybe that didn't translate to me as a younger fan, but now I look back at his matches and I really appreciate them. And they do look real. I think lovely, lovely, lovely here.
The bottom.
Below Shane?
Below Shane.
He was good. He had some good mid. I like the Lion's Den stuff.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you really?
As a kid, because it was different. I like it when they take us outside the ring, when it makes sense in storyline terms, rather. And I don't. Obviously, it wasn't especially entertaining, the match itself, but it's nice to be taken out of there.
Yeah, was it King of the Ring 98 he won?
Was it 98? Yeah, I think
against
so.
The Rock in the final. I was just watching that. I remember watching that pay-per-view thinking, and I still go back and watch most of Ken Shamrock's stuff, and there's something not there for me.
Fair enough.
But if you want to put him there, Adam, I'll give you that one.
You want to put him at the top end of all right, don't you?
The top end of all right, yeah.
Oh, it's Ken Shamrock.
I know he's got a big badass reputation in UFC and whatnot, but this is the WWF. It's better.
If you were sat here with, I don't know what, 10-year-old Adam Pacitti, maybe 13-year-old Adam Pacitti, I would be saying, yeah, he's all right, because I didn't get it. But now you watch back, and he had some pretty decent matches. The submissions were cool and inventive for the time. He was doing stuff that other people hadn't done. So I think he deserves lovely, lovely, lovely.
Ankle lock's his, isn't it? I think he also came up with the 3-tap rule.
I think it was introduced for him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tapping out of submissions. I think that's right.
I think that was right. Well, I'll still love it.
Go on then. Bottom end of lovely, lovely, lovely.
Massive impact on the business. So I'll just let you talk about Mankind.
Right. He is the best underdog babyface of all time. If you're going to argue with that, you're wrong. He's Mick Foley, right? Okay, so Mankind, amazing, some brilliant promos, pulling his hair out, the
both
different
heel and face,
both heel and face. But yeah, as I say, underdog babyface Mankind when he transitioned away from the brown number to the white shirt and the tie. Fantastic. Mick Foley as commissioner, fantastic. Arguably, he's certainly top 5 authority figures on WWE TV ever, in my books anyway. Cactus Jack, again, great promos, really fun character, different from the others. Dude Love, take it or leave it, but overall...
I'm shocked at your reaction there, because the backstory of the Dude Love character I thought would warm the cockles of your heart.
Oh, it was lovely. Loved it as a kid, him jumping off the thing and all that. It just wasn't as entertaining as Mankind or Cactus Jack even, was it? It just felt a bit weird. He played it as well as he could.
Especially against Austin, there was a big against Austin, there was a big disconnect there.
Which they played into well.
Yeah.
They did play into that well, but I'm going to say, in Attitude Era terms, he is between Rock and Bret there.
Definitely.
Yeah?
Not as good as The Rock, but certainly did a lot more than Bret during the Attitude Era.
Winning the title on Raw with the help of Austin, one of my favourite wrestling moments ever still. I still get excited watching that.
Because that'll put butts in seats. I don't know if you could tell, but Adam Pacitti really likes Mick Foley.
I should have brought the mask. Albert!
Have you still got it?
Yeah.
Oh. Lovely.
I spent like 150 quid on it when I was pissed, Ross. I'm not throwing it away.
So now we have Albert, who rocked up on the scene, called Prince Albert, of course, which is a name for a willy piercing. That's the Attitude Era for you. It was all fantastic stuff. He was big, athletic, hairy man then, with draws and people like that. Then... TNA happened. X Factor, that was during the Attitude Era, and then we went on to obviously A-Train and stuff like that when the Ruthless
Hippo, don't forget.
Ruthless Aggression Era kicked off. But
yeah. In the Attitude Era, I don't know who Albert is. Right? Obviously, I know who Albert is, but what's Albert's character? He's just a big guy. He felt a little bit generic even.
Yeah, just a big, impressive athlete. Did a lovely bicycle kick thing. What's that what's called? Bicycle kick in wrestling? I know in the football it's like that, but bicycle...
What, the down on the back of the neck?
The brogue kick, essentially. What's that just called generically?
The big boot?
Yeah.
Big boot.
But you do a little kick before you do the thing.
I don't know what you're talking about. All right.
He did a good one of them, whatever it's called.
Okay.
But it's the real it's symptomatic of today's wrestling more than anything, because you got these wrestlers who are unbelievable, but you don't give a toss because there's no character to get invested in, and that was by and large Albert during the Attitude Era. Big imposing man, didn't really talk, did impressive moves, don't care.
No, I agree. All the talent, the knowledge, the experience in the world. There's a reason he's still around in WWE today, heading up the Performance Center. But back then, I couldn't care less. And you know what? I was a bit bored by Test and Albert. I think Test did better things after, and I think Albert did too, especially over in Japan. But in the Attitude Era, it's an all right for me. Maybe even just about bearable, you know?
I'd say just about the top of just about bearable for Albert. There's nothing there, is there?
No, just
He's
a big bloke.
impressive athlete, but that's it. That's as far as it went.
Piercings will only get you so far, pal. See you later.
Stuck in airport traffic.
Kane, I'll let you talk for this one.
My favourite wrestler between 1997, when he burst on the scene, and 2001, where he started to sort of get watered down and more humanised and stuff like that. I know we had the stuff with Tori before that, but that was a wonderful storyline. Just ask Anthony Ogogo, AEW's Anthony Ogogo, straight to hell. He put Tori down there because of what she did to Kane.
She was horrible.
Even though, looking back on that feud, apparently X-Pac won a match which meant he could take Tori out for a date for a weekend, and she fell in love with him then.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I didn't know that until, well, Wikipedia said so.
More power to it.
Always right. But the Kane character, obviously, the size, the moves, the aura. I was absolutely terrified of Kane. The mystique. Who was under that mask? I remember when Undertaker took it off at SummerSlam 2001, I was on the internet frantically searching for Kane's face, trying to see what he looked like. Because there was that blurry image where you see the blood on his forehead. He had really long hair down to sort of his rib cage back then. Yeah. And you could see a little glimpse and you're thinking, oh, who is it? What is he? What's it all about?
What is it? Yeah, it's one of the best debuts in all of wrestling, that goes without saying. And just a brilliant monster. Arguably the best monster heel ever. Arguably the best monster in wrestling ever. I thought he was like...
When he ripped the bloody thing off the door, I know the Michael Myers inspirations, they're clear for all to see.
Yeah.
The way he would, just his mannerisms and the entrance and the fire and the whole, it was the total package. I'm so happy he didn't keep that cape, otherwise that would have been ruined. He was a super great. But he explained it on the Austin Broken Skulls thing. He was like, they gave him the cape because inside Kane's mind, he thought he was a superhero.
What?
Something like, I need to watch it again. I forgot what he
thought he was a superhero.
The Kane character. There was something about him being so insecure or something like that.
He thought he was doing good.
And he thought he was a superhero, so he had to have a cape.
By going and trashing the people who had wronged him in the past, I guess?
Yeah,
he was doing what was like morally right, but obviously was wrong to everyone else.
The Undertaker, his bastard brother, burnt down the funeral home and ruined his face forever. But yeah, that initial storyline as well with The Undertaker is my favourite from the Attitude Era. It's like something off Coronation Street. The layers, there's endless. It goes all the way back to their childhood, all the way through. It just about all made sense. No one could pick a real massive hole in that initial Kane debut. And your brother's coming, you didn't know he was alive, you thought he was dead. It was all great stuff.
And he's a character, once again, that really evolved. Whether you think that removing the mask eventually was wrong or right, he's a guy, even during the Attitude Era, as you say, he became more human. He was humanised, and as a babyface, when you're looking to garner sympathy, he was very good at it. For such a big, imposing monster, it worked.
And the Brothers of Destruction tag team as well.
Whew. Lovely stuff.
Whew.
Lovely stuff.
When they stood at the top of the ramp, I would get the willies. I was terrified.
Yeah, fair enough.
Terrified.
Even a taker.
Yeah,
I could take
two big men, aren't they?
Yeah, okay.
Terrifying. I would argue to you right now, just below Mick, above Bret.
Couldn't agree more. That's where I'd have put him.
Lovely stuff. So then we have Edge, who burst on the scene. I think initially, right at the start, he was some sort of street poet.
Where he was, he had the creepy vignettes and he would come through the crowd and all that stuff. This is before the Brood, right?
Before the Brood, he would just scream.
Yeah.
Ha! He would say. That was good. He then joined the Brood.
Yeah.
And Christian rocked up on the scene looking like Meatloaf's offspring. He went to the Goofy, which was his real calling, his real calling with the 5-second poses and whatnot. And then that was it for he turned into a really bland babyface by the time 2002 came around.
Yeah, King of the Ring, and then the IC, and then eventually the World Heavyweight title. During the Attitude Era, I'd put him at the top end of Lovely, Lovely, Lovely.
I would, yeah.
Because it seems unfair because, like, TLC, those matches, some of my favourite matches ever. If I want to show people wrestling and they haven't seen it before, quite often I'll still go to those matches. So it feels weird putting him not in the best. But He became better later.
Yeah.
Rated R superstar, the opportunist. Yeah, I think he's lovely for now.
And obviously, even though he would have had nothing to do with the creative process whatsoever, presumably part of one of the best entrances, if not the best entrance in all of the Attitude Era as well, with the Brood. I'm all right with lovely.
Hey, isn't this unfair, right? Because the Dudleys are made the best because they're partnered up there. You split up Edge and Christian in the Attitude Era, and he's only made lovely. Yeah, no, fair. It's fair. Okay, yeah, lovely.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because we've got more tag teams later, but I thought Edge won King of the Ring. But I know Christian was there, sort of backstabbing him while he was doing it, and Christian went off and did his own thing afterwards. So I thought we're better.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know why I did that with Matt and Jeff.
Jeff Nero Hardy. Oh yeah, right. Should we? Let's lump these together then.
Wait, it's at least lovely. There has that.
No, I think it's the best.
It's at least lovely.
Okay.
If not the best.
I think it's the best.
Is it going to be the best?
You've done Edge and Christian rotten here. No, I think it's the best.
Creative did them wrong by splitting them up.
There
That's
you
what
go.
they did, bastards.
So Matt and Jeff together. Oh, you hadn't seen anything like it before. Jeff.
Well, did the Rockers? They were cool.
Yeah, they sure were. Like Edge Edge spearing Jeff and bloody hell, like just the best matches. And Jeff, when he should we? Yeah, let's put them together because otherwise Matt's going down.
There's Matt down there in the sunglasses.
I think they're the best when put together.
They're one of the most iconic tag teams ever. The TLC stuff speaks for itself. I'm comfortable with that. I don't think they're. Are they just for Attitude Era alone, higher or lower than the Dudleys?
I would say higher.
Why?
Just because when I was growing up, I wanted to be Jeff Hardy, and a lot of kids wanted to be Jeff Hardy. And they sort of tapped into pop culture quite well. They were really cool. And I know that wasn't the Dudleys' role, but I don't know, it just resonates with me still.
It's fair enough.
So Matt and Jeff together? Is Lita on here somewhere?
Lita is on there to round off the Team Extreme ting.
So, should we do Lita next?
We'll do Lita next. There's Lita there. So you got Matt just above,
there he
Matt
is.
below Lita.
Lovely photo.
First time I've seen before.
Lita.
She was it, wasn't she?
Amazing.
She was the woman.
I was in love with her, mate. I thought I was a skater. I couldn't skate, and it all sort of comes together for me, like the Hardy Boys, Jackass, and skating, and I wanted to be them. And I know they didn't even skate. This is just a glimpse into my childhood. All of that stuff. I wanted to be cool. Limp Bizkit, Korn, Sum 41, Lita. It's all the same to me. I think she's lovely.
And she was ahead of her time by about 20 years.
She was. She could go. Great moonsault. Lovely. She's not quite on the Hardys level.
Is she not in terms of women's wrestling, is she not the best?
In terms of women's wrestling, yeah.
But Attitude Era. She was still doing the flips.
You know what? Yeah, given the limitations that were imposed on the women in the Attitude Era, she is the best because she couldn't have been any better with those limitations.
Yeah, I guess so. Are we putting Team Extreme in the best?
Let's put Team Extreme. Let's put them all together.
Let's not forget as well, when Team Extreme came out, it was always one of the loudest pops of the night.
Oh, without a doubt. Let's put, this is a trio there. That's Team Extreme.
Team Extreme in the top. Wow, we'll see how that one goes down. So next up, we have the 9th wonder of the world, Chyna. Arrived on the scene as DX's henchwoman, stood there and tore Marlena a new hip, a new leg, a new arm socket.
Tossed her about all over the place.
Then obviously was part of DX for a long old while, broke off, then became, wrestling the blokes.
Yeah. Groundbreaking stuff, truly. The contributions that she made to pro wrestling as a whole, and I guess the women's evolution, if you want to call it that, with their marketing. I think Chyna, even though it happened a long time before, played a big part of that, and she was brilliant.
It's a shame what sort of happened later on in her life, that the sort of the PR, Triple H said if my daughter's Google, they're going to see some weird stuff, which is a really pissy excuse.
When your mate Sean Waltman's right next to you.
Yeah.
It's his knob.
Yeah.
I think she's the best.
I tell you what though, the best stuff for me during the Attitude Era with Chyna was with Eddie.
Mamacita.
Everyone loved those two. They had a great time.
The roses with the lead pipes. Oh, yeah. I think...
Then she had a big old bloody bazooka gun thing that would shoot pyro into the crowd.
She was so lovable, wasn't she? You saw her in those backstage segments with Eddie, and there was just something about her that you really connected with. And when you watch Beyond the Mat as well, she's just a wonderful woman.
That's what everyone says.
Such a loss.
Like Mick Foley especially always says, like, she's such a nice woman, and you don't really hear anyone badmouth her, do you? Like, from behind the scenes perspective. But yeah, it was weird how she was so big and imposing. Yeah, you look at the program at WrestleMania 17 with Ivory and the worked in the real neck injury and stuff like that. And you just wanted to cheer the woman.
Yeah.
She was so good either way, wasn't she?
Yeah,
I think she's got to go in the best. And
Yep.
of course, she's one of the most iconic female characters in wrestling history, isn't she?
I'd say at the bottom of the best there.
Yeah, she did play a role. She was there to be, I'll snap you and throw you down.
LOD. In the Attitude Era,
2000.
all right. Just about bearable.
Just about bearable.
Just about bearable.
Nowhere
it is in the Attitude Era.
Nowhere near the heights that they achieved back in the Road Warrior Pop is called the Road Warrior Pop for a reason.
LOD 2000. LOD at SummerSlam 1992. What a rush, and they come down with Rocco on the front of the bike and everything. One of my favourite entrances ever.
Nigel
I
cry?
loved them. Did Nigel cry? I thought he was there with Daniel. I wasn't invited. I had to watch it on VHS. But yeah, I'd say they're just about bearable in the Attitude Era. Obviously, the Drunk Hawk storyline,
Yeah,
awful
it was
stuff,
awful,
tasteless, gross. Just about bearable.
Was it the Royal Rumble of '98? Was it? Or was it WrestleMania? The big tag team battle royal they had, and then they made their shocking return.
I think it was Mania, wasn't it?
With Sonny.
With Sonny, LOD, yeah.
Yeah, and it never really took off again, did it?
And didn't they win and then lose the next night on Raw? Wasn't it for a tag title? Maybe I'm misremembering, but I think it was for a tag title shot, and then they just lost it afterwards.
And
Maybe I'm misremembering.
Obviously, Animal went on to reach new heights with Heidenreich.
Lovely stuff. Great. And now he's suing WWE still.
Is he?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
He's the head. What's it called? The head plaintiff with Konstantin Lykos, whatever. Right. Just about bearable. Above Albert. Though.
Yeah. So next up we have Val Venus.
Hello, ladies. Give me your best.
Hello, ladies.
It's not bad. I didn't understand what he was. I'm just going to go out there. Right. I didn't understand what the money shot was. I didn't understand what that was. I just thought that was a cool finish.
Did you not watch his entrance video with the screw going into the thing and think, oh, that's intercourse, that?
No, I didn't get it. The flowers popping up. What does that mean? Not a clue.
And then he's there with an army hat on in the bushes. That was part of his entrance video as well.
I think I had a really sheltered childhood.
So did I.
I didn't get what Val Venus was. I remember being like 16 or something, and all of
you should know by then.
No, you should. I remember guys going like, oh yeah, giving head and stuff. What the hell's head? What are you talking about? I didn't understand Al Snow for the same reason. I think he was all right.
He was all right, wasn't he?
Yeah, because you look at the other sort of mid-card guys in the lovely tier. You've got Goldust there. You've got Charles Wright there, Godfather, Shamrock. I would put him a tier below those. Just based on what we've got there, I'd put him there.
You look at what he did as well. He arrived on the scene. It was always the European/Intercontinental Championship. We had the Choppy PP, which is probably the most memorable thing he did in WWF. Yeah. He then went on to have some sort of weird trancey theme with Trish Stratus and white tights, and he was part of Right to Censor for a bit. It was all a bit of
yeah.
It was weird because he was massive. He's like, in terms of just size, he's a big man.
Oh, he is, yeah.
You could looking at the guy, you'd think, oh, it's a main event of that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But
you look back and like the promos that he was cutting with all the innuendo and everything, they got massive pops because it was that sort of generation. But in the ring, I think he was good, but never had an amazing match or anything. Yeah, I think all right's fair.
I think all right's fair. Which might upset, because he was really, really popular back in the day. I guess it was more with the ladies rather than us fellas. Now here we have my favourite professional wrestling character of all time.
Mr. McMahon.
Mr. McMahon.
Fair.
Go back and watch him. I know it's not the Attitude Era, but 2006 Vince McMahon when he's in the church. I've recently rewatched all those vignettes they did with Shane, and it was exactly how you would think Vince McMahon would be inside of a church. But without Vince McMahon being the single best, the top heel in the professional wrestling business, Austin wouldn't have hit the heights it did.
No, absolutely. It was an easy story for people to invest in because people hate their bosses. And no, I'm not the boss. Stop doing that. He's just the storyline. You say that your favourite storyline of the Attitude Era was Kane and Taker. Mine was Austin Vince.
Yeah.
They're both up there together, obviously. But he's just so good at it.
His mannerisms. Life sucks. And then you die. Stuff like that is just, I love Vince McMahon with all my heart.
Yep, agreed.
Maybe not his creative processes were sat here in 2020, that's besides the point. I'm going to say something controversial here, Adam.
You're going to put him there, aren't you? You want to put him between Rock and Mankind.
I want to put him above Mankind. He was the top heel in wrestling. He made the biggest star, potentially, in wrestling history. The biggest star in wrestling history. I think his impact, obviously he's Vince McMahon, but obviously his impact as a character on the Attitude Era was more than Mankind's.
You're right.
Whoa.
You know what? We would have had the Attitude Era without Mankind. We wouldn't have had it without Vince McMahon. And for that reason, I think you're right. Just below The Rock, but barely.
Oh,
genuinely barely.
There's a slight gap.
He was so integral. So integral. And could you have had the Attitude Era without The Rock? It wouldn't have been the same, in the same way that it wouldn't have been the same without Mankind, but you still had Austin there.
It wouldn't have hit the heights it did because you had both Austin and Rock up there.
Their feuds as well.
It still would have been good, but it wouldn't have been what it was. But without McMahon, it wouldn't have been anywhere near.
So is he the best?
No!
all right. No,
Stop it.
I'm with you.
We're going to do that and walk out with this way.
ABA, Farouk and Bradshaw.
Loved them back in the day, mate.
Yeah, me too.
Drinking beer.
Backstage, smoking the cigars.
JBL just flattening people with my favourite finishing move of all time, the clothesline from hell.
Yeah.
Just a fan. Because obviously Bradshaw had been around. He was just the big rootin' tootin' I'm here with my handlebar moustache cowboy sort of thing. He was in the Blackjacks. Then he got paired with Farouk and it all just took off. Obviously we were part of the Ministry of Darkness for a time and that really, that was a bit, But then they took off with the beer and whatnot and it was just good
class
stuff.
But you can't put them in the best because they're not on the same level as Team Extreme or the Dudleys. Yeah. They're lovely, aren't they?
Yeah. I think a tier below the Dudleys and Hardys.
Just a couple of hard lads.
Yeah, fantastic. Gangrel! Fanging and banging.
Fanging and banging is right. I think he's all right.
He's remembered more for his entrance than anything else, which I think speaks volumes.
Yeah, I remember watching him as a kid and just thinking, oh, this guy's a little bit sluggish. He's all right. He's good. He's good.
As a kid, you were thinking
yeah, right, little smarky. No, I remember just, maybe not as sluggish, I thought he was slow. I thought, with the Brood, Edge and Christian were the standouts. And he was there, and again, played his role very well. I think he's all right.
I think all right is the perfect level for him. You look at who else is in all right, Val Venus and Gangrel in terms of gimmicks. I think they're on a par, on a similar keel, aren't they?
Out of Bossman Terry, I know we're not doing this, but out of Bossman Terry, Neidhart, Val Venus, I'd put him at the top of those.
Yeah, I would as well.
Taker.
In the best.
Yep.
Attitude Era, he sort of had stopped being the sort of the Taker we knew right at the start. There were sort of variations on that character all the way through until 97. 98 rolls around, Kane's on the scene. All starts to change from there. We go into the Ministry, which is personally my favourite Taker. I don't know about you. Who's your favourite Taker?
Just because I grew up watching it, it's Gravedigger. It's the Undertaker with bearer, the purple gloves, that sort of thing. But from a storyline perspective, you're completely right.
Yeah. And then we had obviously the Brothers of Destruction. He went and became a mortal man, which obviously is a very contentious issue in the world of professional wrestling. I liked it for what it was worth.
Yep. I'm just trying to think where to put it. No. I'm looking at the best tier here. And
let's look at his big feuds during the Attitude Era. I think Austin would have been the first one with the Attitude Era. Mm-hmm. Then we had Kane. Mm-hmm. That would have stopped. Went all the way through until 1998, and I think he was back to Austin again.
Yeah.
And then Austin and Kane. Mm-hmm. And then we went through to 99.
Great stuff. No. I'm honestly, I'm fixated on this top tier here and where you put him. I would say between Vince and Foley.
Because by this point he was just, I don't want to say he was part of the furniture. Mm-hmm. He did obviously play a massive role, but did he play more of a role than Mankind? He's certainly above.
Maybe not in the Attitude Era.
He's certainly above Kane. He was always the sort of. He was never, because Mankind for a point, he wasn't really the guy, was he? That's not the right thing to say. What I'm trying to say is Taker was never one of the two top of three. He was always sort of just there, wasn't he?
And you know what? That's because of his character. He's a guy who doesn't need the championship, so he was sparingly used in the main event role. I mean, he was there from time to time,
he was obviously part of the biggest.
He was actually better, I think, when he was a little bit further down, involved in the massive storyline. So I think okay then, between Foley and Kane. I
think that's fair. It was because then you had the corporate ministry. Sorry.
Yeah.
That all. Yeah. Is he above Mankind? I'd say.
In the Attitude Era, I disagree. Overall, if this was just their entire careers, I think Taker would definitely be above him.
I mean, by the year 2000, Foley was out the ring, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. And then we ended a year and a half after that, just about. And Taker was being the Brothers of Destruction, tag team champions. In the mix, kind of. He was always one of the most popular ones.
Yeah, of course he was.
Oh,
I'm struggling here. I'm happy to go with where do you want him?
I'll go above Kane, below Mankind.
Okay.
Just to keep you happy, Adam.
Thank you.
So then we had the British Bulldog, who...
But I said boss man there.
Bulldog.
British Bulldog. Davey Boy Smith, Hall of Fame inductee this year. Fantastic stuff, of course.
Finally, Yes. First ever European champion.
Yep. Best European champion for my money.
Do you reckon?
Above legal for me. Really?
D'Lo.
I like Snow as well, with all the stereotypes coming out. Couldn't do that today either. I think he was bottom end of lovely.
For Attitude Era.
Oh no! Oh, that's it, isn't it?
The ship had sailed by this point.
Yeah, you're right. We talked about him with Neidhart earlier. I think he was better than Neidhart. But the best Davey Boy Smith is SummerSlam '92 Davey Boy Smith with the cornrows and the bead things at the bottom. Rule Britannia, he is. He's all right in the Attitude Era, isn't he? A lot of personal issues as well.
Which is a shame. Yeah, he did the thing in WCW, didn't he, with the trapdoor on the ring? Yeah. And he came back, and it just was never really the same, was it? Which is a massive shame. You think about what he did during the Attitude Era. I think '99 is when he came back wearing jeans and being that sort of man and
involved in like the hardcore division and stuff, wasn't he?
Rock bottomed on some poo by The Rock, a plate of poo in the middle of the ring because he's a dog.
Bring it back.
But yeah,
top end of all right.
Yeah, it was just never reached the heights it did once before, and it's the circle of life and whatnot.
You're right. HBK.
Shawn Michaels in the best, but he was gone by WrestleMania 14, which was obviously the early parts of 1998. We're kicking the Attitude Era off in 1997. He came back to be the commissioner for a bit. What else did he? Then he was gone sort of 2000, 2001, wasn't he? Came back obviously in 2002 when Triple H assaulted him.
So in the Attitude Era, it doesn't make sense for him to necessarily be in the best.
But he was the man, he was the champion Austin beat to become champion for the first time. And that is one of my favourite. I don't know what it is about that entrance at WrestleMania 14, but that entrance is fantastic. Yep. Jim Johnston, part of that band. The DX band, with that man.
It feels weird. Oh, God, because I'm almost suggesting that we put him in the top end of lovely. Just because he wasn't around all the time. I know it's HBK, I know.
I love Shawn Michaels as a dickhead babyface, though. A dickhead heel,
sorry. And a dickhead babyface.
And a dickhead babyface as well, yeah.
And a dickhead human being back then.
I think he's got to be in the best. We're putting Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy in the best.
But they were the Attitude Era. Think of Michaels.
Sean was in DX at the start.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Sean is great.
You're right. No, I've got nothing to add to that. You're right.
Yeah, he's got to be in the best, but how far up is he's at least Bret Hart. He's above Bret Hart. He's got to be
above Bret Hart, isn't he?
He's got to be above Bret Hart.
As if I was doubting this for a second. Sorry, viewers. Between Hart and Kane, then.
Do you reckon? Is that too harsh? He is the guy who Austin was feuding with to get to be the top guy.
Yeah, but Kane put in the hours.
Kane certainly did more during the Attitude Era. But DX was still... But Triple H is... Well, they're both big players behind the scenes these days, so of course we're still talking about DX today.
I'll drop him there.
Is that harsh? Let us know in the comments below.
Who's this cheeky chappy?
This is the Ass Man.
It's the Ass Man, Billy Gunn.
A person who no longer exists in WWE history, of course, because of his ties to
AEW.
So obviously we had DX, Billy Gunn by the time the Attitude... Wait, he was New Age Outlaw, then joined DX... Then he was the One with a saxophone, and then just as the Attitude Era was ending, that's when Billy and Chuck were on their way to get in whatever that ceremony was called, the commitment ceremony. Is that right? But
it's tough, isn't it? If it was New Age Outlaws, they'd be straight in at lovely.
Yeah.
Billy Gunn on his own, he's all right, isn't he?
He's remembered as a single star for The Rock just pulling his pants down in front of the world and just killing his main roster push. I'm Billy.
But he should have never been in the main event. He shouldn't have, sorry, in the upper echelons of WWE, he wasn't there. He's an upper mid-card guy at best.
Yeah.
Because he's the worst thing is, he's not a bad talker at all. He's got all the tools. He's a massive bloke. He's huge. And he could go, but there's something about him that just doesn't scream main event scene.
Yeah. I think sort of lower down and lovely for Billy Gunn. Personally.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Maybe above Shamrock, but below Edge?
Yeah, that's probably fair.
S.A. Rios.
S.A. Rios.
Is that S.A., yeah?
That is S.A. Rios with the Light Heavyweight Championship. Now, all I remember from S.A. Rios back in the day is obviously being with Lita and always being on shows like Metal and Heat.
Jacked.
And Jacked. That is That's all I can say. And he was an amazing wrestler. One of the best moonsaults I've ever seen.
Yeah, he was amazing. It was so much fun to watch in the ring. I don't know really who he was. I don't think he had that much of a character or anything.
I think he was
fun to play on the games, that's for sure.
Also in the Attitude Era, I think he appeared as a gear. Is that how you pronounce it? With the mask? I think that was him. So he did that, but that obviously went nowhere because I can't remember his name barely.
Top end of all right.
Top end of all right.
Below Bulldog.
But that's not a commentary on him as a wrestler. That's just a commentary on how he was used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's possibly the best light heavyweight champion of all time. He's probably the one that I associate with the belt the most.
Yeah, him and Malenko and Jerry Lynn, or the 3R, would jump out as me as the light heavyweight champion.
There you go.
There we are.
Ahmed Johnson. Interesting one, because I bloody loved him as a kid, but he was crap.
He was crap.
He was crap.
The most distracting set of tights. Not this picture. This picture is distracting on a whole nother level. But the tights he used to wear with the gaps up the thighs and whatnot.
Oh, he had the little rings in them, didn't he?
Hell.
So they could hang them up effectively.
But I'm trying to remember, when did he drop off the Attitude Era? Because I remember Super Brawl 2000, he was there for WCW.
Yeah. He went around, he injured a few people, didn't he?
97.
And then he came back and he got stiffed the hell out of by Farouk. Like Nation of Domination, Ahmed didn't enjoy that much. He didn't really have much to say. Not that you could understand a pissing word he said anyway.
I can't remember him.
Ahmed Johnson in the red, right, was genuinely enthralling. He had all the intensity of Goldberg.
Good Lord.
No, he did have a lot of intensity. He was really, he felt unique. There wasn't anyone else doing what he did. Pearl River Plunge, amazing finisher.
Yeah.
But actually, when you go and watch the matches back, he was carried. Always.
I'm edging towards just about bearable. Because I think his pomp was 96, 97. And obviously the Attitude Era was in its infancy in 97.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Yeah, just about bearable's fair then.
I'm trying to think of what else he did. Because it was all about the Goldust feud, wasn't it? Because he's got Goldust in the Continental Championship round his lovely...
Yeah, that's the thing that I most remember him for.
There.
Except for the Nation of Domination stuff, I remember him getting kissed without his consent by Goldberg and leaving all the gold...
By Goldberg.
Goldberg! You know what I meant. Yeah, just about bearable then. But probably the top end there.
Yeah.
Oh, it won't move. There we go. Okay.
Bloody Road Warriors.
There you go.
Jerry the King Lawler, part of the most, well, certainly one of the most iconic commentary tandems in wrestling history. A lot of what he said hasn't aged very well.
No, but he was very good at saying it.
He was, and always when Kurt Angle especially was on the screen, I used to love Jerry's he used to just hop in after every single sentence and back up what Kurt Angle was saying, and that just helped Kurt Angle no end. Yeah. So that's the Jerry Lawler I like to remember here, not so much with the puppies and stuff like that. It's a bit, you
know what? It's not his fault, is it? In the same way that a lot of these people did things which are distasteful, Jerry was playing a role, and he was very, very good at that role. JR and King, just arguably, they're up there with Heenan and Monsoon, aren't they? Without a doubt. And
who is your favourite commentary tandem?
I think Heenan and Monsoon still.
Mine's Jim Ross and Heyman.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Those two during the invasion angle were fantastic. Anyway, we might as well do Jim as well. Jim's at the bottom there. We'll put him in the best because you've got to be, haven't they?
I agree.
You just have to, don't you?
And I'd say out of this, oh man, they're the voices of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
There. Below.
Above Bret.
HBK. Above Bret.
I think that's fair.
Because they are the Attitude Era.
They are the Attitude Era.
King.
Especially King.
But JR's obviously going one step ahead. JR slightly above Lawler.
Good old JR. So then we have Test, who arrived on the scene as being a bodyguard for a band that I've forgotten. Motley Crue, was it?
Yep.
Motley Crue. He then...
That was legit, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
It used to be, yeah.
He then went on to almost marry Stephanie. He was part of the Union. Union! Used to love that theme, back in the day.
Union?
With Mankind and Al Snow.
I hadn't thought about that in
Who else? Was it Shamrock?
Years.
Yeah. I think it was Shamrock. Union! And then he went on and part of TNA. Un-Americans was Ruthless Aggression Era.
Yeah, a guy who should have always been bigger again, like even more so than Billy Gunn, for example. It felt like he had all the tools.
I do feel sorry for him because I think it was Bruce Pritchard on his podcast said the Test was very, 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 very new when they called him up.
Okay.
And it was obviously before his time, before he was ready. So maybe if he spent a bit more time in developmental with Dr. Tom and all that.
Thrown in the deep end. Okay. Yeah. In which case... I still think he's just about bearable.
I think it's a little bit harsh. I think all right. Banging theme, of course. We've got to throw that in there with the lyrics that can't be heard.
Yeah, okay, I'm happy with the bottom end of all right.
He was a massive man doing massive elbow drops.
His boot was amazing.
The boot was the noises that thing would make. Woohoo! The stuff with Shane at SummerSlam 2001, 2000. I keep forgetting which year it was. I think he did a lot. He did a lot of good, but it was never really went anywhere, did it?
No. Yeah, all right's fair with that. There you go, Test. I'll just drop him anywhere. Hardcore Holly. Big Bob. What do you say? Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's obviously in the best, but is he above Mankind? The hardcore division was really entertaining as a kid. It was chaotic, and he was a very big part of that. And playing the horrible veteran, the just nasty man, and his dynamic with Elroy was great.
Elroy outshined him.
He did. Crash was amazing.
I love Crash. But we go back to, I think it was right at the start of the Attitude Era, he was part of the new Midnight Express.
Yeah.
That was crap.
Yeah, it was.
Then what did he do before Crash? I'm trying to think.
Slam was a great move. I'm trying to find redeeming features here.
Did good stuff with Al Snow for the hardcore title when they fought. Was it those two who fought outside in the winter? And Bob's there in just his tights?
I can picture it.
In the river?
Yeah, it must have. Yeah,
in the river?
Must have been.
I think All Right is really
All Right's
fair
fine with me.
Lower down in All Right, but All Right all the same. Because the stuff for the hardcore title was fun.
People are going to disagree, but I would argue that this is perhaps one of the most agreeable lists.
Lovely.
Oh God, sorry.
How dare you?
Sorry.
He's not that good.
I think this is one of the most agreeable lists so far.
Because you know why, Adam? Everyone is just so defined as a character.
Yep.
You know where you stand with everybody, so it's quite easy to decipher who's good and who's not.
Christian.
So we had the Brood. He rocked up looking like Meatloaf's son, obviously. Then we went to Edge and Christian.
Amazing.
And then we
the dynamic between them.
The tag
superb.
Starting off moody, going to the goofy stuff. Then he was the jealous brother, watching his brother go on to win King of the Ring. Then at last, that started.
He went all Adam Pacitti there.
At last. You're on your own.
I think the Unprettier is one of my favourite finishing moves ever. Whenever I used to create a wrestler, I always gave him the Unprettier. I think it's a lovely move. The kill switch.
Yes.
Yes. I think he's lovely, lovely, lovely.
I think he's lovely,
and I'd put him one step below Edge.
I'd put him above Attitude Era.
Nah, Edge was funnier in those backstage segments. No, Christian had the goofy smile, didn't he?
Yeah, Christian did. He had the better glasses all the time.
I remember buying a pair of massive glasses, walking around a shopping centre on the Isle of Wight.
No.
Thinking I was the man.
This did not happen.
I had the yellow shirt on and everything. Totally reeks of... Yeah, okay, right.
I looked on eBay, coincidentally, recently, and a pair... They might have come in a magazine back in the day, but a pair of Christian massive sunglasses were £60.
Jesus.
You could buy them for... I think they might have been signed as well, I can't remember. But I think Christian...
Oh, that makes a bit more sense.
I think Christian was better than Edge.
Yeah, but in the Attitude Era? Yeah, you're right.
More bants, didn't he? So next up we have Deborah.
I mean, I think of her, when I think of Deborah, I think of her pairing with Jeff Jarrett.
I think of her pair.
I think of her pairing with Jeff Jarrett. I think she's just about bearable.
I think, yeah. What did she do? She was a manager. She was there to fulfill a role. Role that...
all I remember was the repeat spot that they did all the time, her standing on the ring apron and distracting people because of her you-know-what.
Bojangles. Yeah, so just about Barrett. I don't know what you say about that. She wore... Yeah,
she was alright, wasn't she?
She wore a short skirt.
Owen,
it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Is it a bit of a weird one?
In the Attitude...
Yeah.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, my favourite Owen Hart was before this. The match, the opening match with Bret, cage match, amazing. I want to say lovely, lovely, lovely towards the top.
Because by 1997, 98, he was obviously part of the Hart Foundation, but then he was sort of floating around in different tag teams, I think. And then obviously the Blue Blazer character came in once again. We know what happened there, which is obviously one of the biggest, or the biggest tragedy in wrestling, arguably.
Yeah, he was a guy who didn't want to be there as well, isn't he? That's
he wanted to be a firefighter, didn't he?
Yeah, he wanted to, and they wouldn't let him go. I think, you watch his matches, and he was so good in the ring. He's one of those really, really underrated guys as far as in ring. Everything he did was just so crisp, so smooth. I want to say the top end of lovely, lovely, lovely.
He's definitely in lovely, lovely, lovely. Especially when I was watching the shoot interview with Val Venus. I was very lonely a couple of years ago. And he was speaking about all the ribs Owen would do when they would room together and stuff like that. And obviously that was happening during the Attitude Era, so just for the ribs alone. The stuff with the pigs and Vince McMahon, that was during the Attitude Era, wasn't it?
There you go.
So I think, I think that's fair. And now we have our new best of the best, Mr. D'Lo Brown.
D'Lo's great, isn't he?
I used to love D'Lo Brown.
Yeah, the chest protector stuff, lovely frog splash. He was really, when he used to walk to the ring and his head would just be darting all over the place.
He looked like the real deal now. That's what he looked like.
I don't really know what his character ever was, but I always enjoyed watching it.
It got to the stage towards the end of the Attitude Era where he was just tagging along with anybody. Mark Henry for a bit.
Yeah.
Mr. Singh, I've forgotten, Tiger Ali Singh for a bit.
Oh,
remember that?
No, him and Chaz from the Headbangers, wasn't it?
Chaz?
No, he might have been with Tiger Ali Singh as well, but I remember with the head garb. I remember him and that was Mosh.
Yeah, and then obviously in the Nation as well. I enjoyed D'Lo. I always enjoyed D'Lo.
Me too. Is he great European champion?
The greatest of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Is he low down and lovely, 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 or top of all right? I think that's the area of the board we're going to here.
I think he's right at the bottom of lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, that mate! Oh man, you see the people.
But he's definitely better than Bulldog in the Attitude Era. Yep. Definitely better than S.A. Rios. Gangrel, more iconic, you might say. But he did more than Gangrel. I think that's fair to say as well.
Agreed.
I think he's bottom of lovely.
There's a reason they wanted to bring him back, isn't there? And he did come back for a time.
It's like
he was
2008.
Good. Yeah.
What did he do?
He was on Raw a few times. that was about it. I don't remember.
I remember seeing him on SMTV Live back in the day.
Yeah?
D'Lo Brown. I think that's where I fell in love with the guy.
I can't remember like a single D'Lo promo or anything like that. Could he talk?
Probably. He's D'Lo Brown. I think he was. I really enjoyed D'Lo for what he was worth.
Bottom end of lovely, lovely, lovely.
I think that's fair.
I'll just point out now, this is nuts. There's not one single get in the bin. It does speak volumes, doesn't it?
I think we're having one coming up very soon. That's what I'll say. But next up we have X-Pac.
What's your problem with Jericho?
X-Pac.
X-Pac I never got. Never got. Hated the Bronco Buster. Really hated it. I don't know why. I just thought, it's stupid that. With all the stupid stuff happening around, I thought, that is stupid. You know that doesn't hurt.
Looking at him, I tell you what, when he was on SmackDown, we're sat here the week after NWO was on SmackDown, and when he was stood opposite Sami Zayn, and he was sort of taller than Sami Zayn, I was thinking, what the hell is going on here?
He was
think about X-Pac, and you think, he's tiny, with little arms and whatnot. But he was so far ahead of his time. I think he's got... And he put on entertaining matches all the time. You can say whatever you want about X-Pac. His matches were always great, weren't they?
They were.
I think he's got to be around D'Lo Brown. Got to be. I know people hated him.
We can't put X-Pac any lower down than D'Lo Brown. And he played. He was entertaining when he was with DX. I like his tongue. He was good. And as you say, always great matches. Just a really, really good wrestler.
Made Shane McMahon look like the best in the world before his time was due. But that's the thing that gets me. It always staggers me watching X-Pac matches back, just how far ahead of his time he was.
Yeah, he was.
Unbelievable man. Right, is this what you're talking about? This is the one. Mean Street Posse are bin-worthy. They are bin-worthy. Rodney, which one was the blonde one? Rodney, the single worst professional wrestler I've ever seen in a WWE ring.
Pete Gas was the bigger lad. And then the other one, what was his name?
Joey Abs.
Joey Abs, of course it was. I'm going to argue that they're kept out of the bin because I think their dynamic with Shane McMahon was really entertaining stuff. And they were you can't describe them as like henchmen. That was their intended role. They were Shane's henchmen, but they were pissing useless, and that was really funny.
Yeah, I guess. When you put it like that, it does make sense, doesn't it?
Nobody's going in the bin here, are they? Just about bearable.
Just about bearable. Near
top end.
I can't believe how bad Rodney was, though.
Yeah, he was. Oh crap! They're one of my favourite managers of all time.
Interesting. Was it all three of them were just literally Shane's pals, and they were like, "Oh, let's train to be wrestlers," or was it just a couple of them, and one of them was a? I
feel like a couple of them had trained, and then one hadn't, which I guess was probably Rodney. I'm not sure.
I think they're all Shane's pals, though, from high school, which is an amazing story. Anyway, Paul Bearer.
Paul Bearer, like in the Attitude Era, the transition from "oh yes" to Paul Bearer came out without the makeup. I was watching Kane's return the other day. You know, when he comes out in the red and he stands at the top of the stage, and then Kane comes in and dominates. Amazing, and it wouldn't have been the same without Paul Bearer. No. But he also did low. I think his
promos were amazing because he was so good at making you. He was unbearable, but in the best way.
Bearable?
Unbearable. And I always wonder, you know when Austin sends him down the manhole cover, how the hell did they do that?
Not a clue. Masked magician.
Was there maybe a tunnel that would take him down a bit smoothly?
Must have been.
A bit smoother, sorry. I've got no idea. But yeah, you look at all the moments in the Attitude Era. His role that he played with Kane by his side, back with Taker by his side. He did so much stuff. He's got a bit. Is he the bottom of the best?
I would put him one step above China.
Above Jeff. It's Paul Bearer.
What about the Dudleys then? No, one step above the Dudleys. We're going that way. All right, yeah, fine. That's fine with me. I was verging on lovely, lovely, lovely. Just, I think it's personal preference because, again, grew up watching him and him and Taker with the purple gloves or the grey gloves or whatever was how I remember him. But he was brilliant in the Attitude Era too. Yeah. There you go. Sorry, Devon and Bubba.
Then we have Vader.
This is an interesting one because he should have been so much bigger. So much bigger.
Made him, I don't know if... Did they make him say it or did he just say it by himself?
I'm a fat,
useless piece of...
Yeah, he said it in the promo after the match.
So yeah, he was dominated by Kane and a wrench.
Booking was his downfall because Vader as a beast, it's such easy money as well.
We could blame Shawn Michaels for this.
Yep.
For being a bell end at SummerSlam 97, 6, whatever it was.
He still deserves lovely, lovely, lovely.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
For what he did during the Attitude Era?
Yeah.
How so?
Because it's not his fault. No, you're right, aren't you? Oh, you can't put Vader in all right, can you?
Well, when we're just basing this on a 4-year span, what did he do?
Oh, man, because the times that he popped up in the main event were just before the Attitude Era.
Obviously.
Not every In Your House ever.
Obviously, like Vader, before Attitude Era, would be in the best of just about any tiered ranking. But we're talking about the 4-year span that the Attitude Era was. And my main memory for Vader was a feud with JBL, which I think JBL eventually came out on top of. I might be mistaken there. And also the stuff he did with Kane. That's all I can remember from the Attitude Era. Because obviously the Shawn stuff was pre-Attitude Era.
Like, with Jim Cornette and all that lot. Yeah, he's all right.
He's all right, isn't he?
Man, that sucks, doesn't it?
I
don't like that. Don't like that one bit.
Jericho. The second best debut for me in Attitude Era.
No, it wasn't.
Behind Kane.
No, I don't rate... Jericho's debut was good and everything. What? You talked earlier about Rock tearing Billy Gunn a new one. He did that with Jericho as well. And then people think that Jericho just went straight into the main event picture. Jericho slid straight down. I don't think that was an amazing debut. And I've said this in videos before, and people disagree with me, whether you agree or disagree. He came out there and he was immediately humiliated by Rock. It sort of worked into his character, but it took him a while to recover.
I think people stop remembering that debut. The debut is classed as the countdown timer, and then the second it says Jericho on the Tron, and then it stops. And maybe the pose, and welcome to Raw is Jericho. Yep. And that's when the debut stops.
That's fine. But that's not where the debut stopped really, is it? No, the vignettes, the countdown, enthralling stuff.
So if we take this all the way through until WrestleMania 17, a night where Jericho defeated William Regal in the opener of the night in a really bloody quick match, which ended...
Following the piss drinking?
But
you would assume those two together would have done something fantastic.
I think it was a lion. He won with a lion salt, I think. So we looked before that, we had the stuff with China, which I think it did good things, Jericho. They're the best he could have in the situation. Before that, the Road Dogg debut stuff was sort of harking back to his WCW poo-housery, if you want.
I think he's top end of lovely, lovely, lovely here.
I don't think he's top end at all. I think he's sort of lower down, lovely, lovely, lovely. He was always one of the most popular acts on the show. That much you can say. But what he actually did up until 2001, the rest of Jericho's career after 2001 was amazing, wasn't it? Because that's when he won the Undisputed title.
Think about the matches he was having, like Benoit. They some of them were show stealers that he was having.
Yeah. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh there. I forgot about Benoit.
Yeah. So I say the top end of lovely, 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 because he hadn't reached the best yet. Yeah. Now he's in the best, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Definitely lovely.
Okay,
somewhere
we'll
around the
stick him
top
there.
of two. Then we have Road Doggy Dog.
Loved him as a kid.
So did everyone.
So entertaining, wasn't he?
It's unbelievable what a great talker he was.
Yep.
When you think back.
It's one of the best crowd participation bits ever. The New Age Outlaw shtick at the beginning. Oh, you didn't know?
You better call somebody. The D-O-double-G and get quick, get rowdy. And that's a move. That song, when you listen to the full version on the Uncaged album, whatever number it is, Road Dogg in the middle of that song just starts saying rowdy in some ways which you never could dream of. It's like, oh, yeah, we're getting rowdy. Obviously, he can sing.
Showing off.
Obviously, he can sing, and I can't. But just imagining Road Dogg with his dreadlocks in the studio, proper going. Oh, just magical.
He would have been
stuff.
having a whale of a time.
So yeah, we had New Age Outlaws, DX, Road Dogg, and then with K Quick. I think that's as far as we can go with Road Dogg in the Attitude Era.
So I'm going to say here, he's in Lovely, if Billy Gunn is, that's for sure, and if Godfather is. So let's just argue, who's better, Billy Gunn or Road Dogg?
Road Dogg.
Yeah, agreed. Not much arguing there, pal. Right, Benoit. So top end of Lovely at this point,
came in with the Radicals.
Yep.
They had their thing on Raw, getting beat early on and whatnot. And then the stuff, what was the sort of stuff before? WrestleMania 17, he faced Angle in an unbelievable technical masterpiece, if you want. Before that, we had the stuff with Jericho. He flirted with the world title, didn't he? Was it The Rocket Fully Loaded?
Was it Fully Loaded?
I think it was. Something like that. Put me right if I'm wrong. He's in Lovely.
He is in Lovely. It's another guy here, hadn't reached his peak yet.
No, absolutely not.
So yeah, Lovely. Great matches, intense.
That was the thing. He was much like Bret as a baby. Not as Bret was a better babyface than Benoit was, but Benoit was in the same ilk as Bret. It was just no nonsense and like, whoa,
technical.
He's hard, and he's good at the wrestling. Pillman,
interesting, because Pillman's got a gun, was great, captivating character, really brilliant promo, and I liked his commentary work as well. How far into the Attitude Era did he get?
It wasn't that far.
No.
What event was it? He just passed away before. Completely forgotten what event it was, but it was the day of a pay-per-view, wasn't it?
All I can picture is the thing coming up on the opening of Raw, so I can't remember.
But in terms of the moments, Austin Pillman's got a gun is the moment, isn't it? He was part of the Hart Foundation for a little bit as well. Yeah. But apart from that...
Unhinged Pillman was brilliant. Yeah. It really was. So I'd put him in Lovely.
Lower down in Lovely. Fully on board with that. He just... what a shame.
Yeah, tragic. There's a lot of tragedy on here, unfortunately.
And then we had Jacqueline, who had her chest whapped out in England. Rebellion?
She did,
was it Rebellion?
It was either that or Insurrection. Yeah, I think it's Rebellion. Yeah. The handprint. Not the handprints. What we're talking about. That was Sable. Right, everything was out. You know what? I'd have to go back and watch some of Jacqueline's matches. She's very celebrated now, but I don't remember thinking, "Oh, this is amazing" as a kid. But once again, probably limitations put on the female wrestlers.
That was it, because in WCW she was wrestling guys before she joined WWF. I think that was right.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Obviously, she flirted with that a bit more in sort of, was it 2002, 3 when she won the Cruiserweight title?
Yep.
On SmackDown. But again, she was very much just a victim, because I don't think she was there to be, cast in the same role as Sable and people like that. She was there to be a wrestler.
Yeah, she was, and I assume she was comfortable with doing all that stuff. But it didn't especially feel fitting for somebody who could, I guess, go in the ring. Like, Sable the cat, for example.
I've just realised Sable isn't on here. Where would you put Sable?
All right.
She didn't help for me personally.
No.
I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm the women. What was that catchphrase? She used to
growl.
No, she always used to say that catchphrase like a robot. All the women want to be with, and the men want to... Whatever it was.
Well, you know what? If she's not on here, I'd put her in a top end of all right, just because her thing with Mark Merrow, I thought was tremendous.
Oh, the powerbomb. Yeah.
So I'm going to say top end of all right. She probably didn't get to show off as much as she could have done. Yeah. Which isn't her fault, but... Tori.
Tori. How dare you?
I don't know. Honestly, my memories of her are just Kane.
I think
Really?
she turned up as a sort of super fan for Sable, I think it was.
Right.
And then she started. I think it was very much like Mickie James and Trish. That sort of style. Was it Sable? I can't remember.
She always felt like a background character to me. She didn't really say much or do much. She
did
never
get-
involved in matches, sure, but she was just there.
Do you remember when she used to wear that like airbrushed suit like Giant Gonzalez, but like with tiger stripes on and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Never understood why.
No. Just about bearable?
I think just about bearable's fine.
Fair.
Or is she bin worthy? What'd she do? What did she do to keep her out the bin?
The stuff with Pac. Oh, maybe you're right. I know if I'm struggling.
Bin. She didn't out memorable, did she?
No, she
didn't.
didn't.
Tory. The stuff with Kane, yeah, but that was more about Kane and X-Pac, wasn't it?
And she didn't. I mean, she played her role, but it wasn't like an integral. It could have been anyone else doing that, couldn't it? And it would have worked. Go on, let's put her in the bin.
Let's put her in the
Go
bin.
on,
Yeah,
sorry.
you turn on your back on Kane like that.
Show.
Weird. Debuted at St. Valentine's Day Massacre. And then it all unravelled really quickly because he was doing the show stuff because it was obvious that someone backstage had said, you haven't got enough charisma, kid. So it was like, oh, well, we'll make it a storyline then. Let's show that the Big Show can have fun. Let's have him dress up as a Scotsman and Hulk Hogan and whatever else he dressed up as. And then he was gone for a bit, wasn't he? He was sent back down to developmental to lose weight and get back in shape and sort himself out a bit. And the Attitude Era Big Show didn't really live up to the hype because he won the title.
Certainly didn't.
He won the title, lost it to Triple H very quickly once again. I don't know what to say about that.
The thing is, he's a giant, isn't he? And it's difficult, obviously, when you're a real life giant, not to play that role well. And I think he did. I think it was perfectly serviceable stuff. I'd put him in lovely, lovely, lovely.
Yeah. It's the Big Show, isn't it?
Yeah. It's certainly not my favourite era of Big Show.
What is your
I don't know
favourite
what
era?
it is. God, it's been there for so long. I loved the Giant in WCW. You know, growing up with that terrifying
Doing stuff
man.
off the top move, off the top rope. Sorry.
Oh man, those moonsaults and that. Okay, so yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely.
I think that's just about it. Is that he's another iconic character of the Attitude Era, isn't he?
Yep.
What does everybody want, Adam?
They want. Hey, what does that mean? Snow's great, isn't he? He's a really good wrestler.
You know, an
Really good in the
underrated part of Al Snow's career is when he turned like proper heel, and he had that theme. What a theme that was! I can't remember what I think it's called. Snowplow. If you look on YouTube,
I think Snowplow's the original.
Is it?
Yeah.
Go and look at Al Snow's
The
heel
remix
theme.
version where what was it like whispering or something in the background? Am I thinking of the right thing?
No, it just the beginning sort of sounds like it's playing in reverse. It's a hard thing to describe. It didn't have any words or anything. But that part, obviously, Al Snow.
Oh, it's like the L or like that.
Sort of like that. It's hard.
Sort of like that. Shut up, Adam. Yeah, I would put him in lovely, lovely, lovely. If D'Lo's there, so's Snow.
You had the stuff for the hardcore title. You had the stuff for the light heavyweight title.
Good stuff. European champion. Al Snow, very funny.
Trainer.
He was good there, wasn't he?
Just before, or was it just Al? I can't remember. But yeah, he's better than D'Lo. As much as I like D'Lo, he's higher.
Yeah, he is. Over as hell.
Higher up than X-Pac as well. He's lovely, 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 I'd say.
Yeah, fine by me.
Another example of everyone having something to do up and down the card. Dean Malenko, a gimmick I never quite understood. Yes, he's a handsome man, a devilishly handsome
Are you talking about
man.
like Lothario Dean Malenko?
James Bond Dean Malenko, when he had that Titantron where it had all the words like lovable and sassy and sexy.
It was self-aware though, wasn't it? They knew it was silly because Dean Malenko was a man seemingly with no charisma.
The Iceman.
He was the Iceman. So good in the ring. So good in the ring.
I think the best days have been before, haven't they? He peaked with Ciclo player, whatever it was called, in WCW and Jericho.
Oh, with the mask and that. Yeah.
Again, it's another wrestler I can only really remember, apart from obviously the debut with the Radicals, appearing on your metals and your heats and stuff like that, with the light heavyweight title.
Yeah, you're right. Aside from the Radicals, I don't know. He had just good matches, but you didn't appreciate that when you were young. When you're surrounded by all of these incredibly colourful characters, Dean Malenko was just sort of there. You can appreciate him now, but back then, did you? So I'm urging that. Like, I think the top end of all right there.
Yeah. So then we get on to Viscera.
What do you say about Viscera?
He was there.
He was there.
He was big.
He was big.
He wore a bin bag.
He had contact lenses in. He had a funny haircut.
Just about bearable.
Yeah. Never had a great match.
He didn't hit his stride until he was Big Daddy V.
Yeah, and that didn't
The
last
world's
long.
largest love machine.
Yeah, didn't he get? He ended up being released for being too overweight, didn't he? Just after the big Daddy V thing, and then tragically, obviously,
because he was the world's largest
away.
love machine. Then he went into the weird attire with the straps.
Oh yeah. When he was, who was he managed by?
Matt Striker, was it?
Yeah, got you. That sounds right.
I can't remember. Didn't really watch ECW, me.
No, I think he was just about bearable.
I think just about bearable.
It was interesting to look at. I know that sounds weird.
He did an impressive wheel kick thing.
Mm-hmm. I can't think of a single good match. Not that that's what this is all about, because there are other guys here who are ranked fairly highly who probably didn't have amazing matches. But Viscera,
he was always a background character, wasn't he? Always.
He was, but he was very unique. Used to play as him in the game a lot. So what appealed to me about Viscera, just the fact that he was so different looking, I guess.
Size.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a big boy.
Like the girth. Right. All right.
Bottom of all right.
Fair.
I think that's fair. Eddie.
Guerrero, he's lovely, isn't he? Because he didn't
Definitely.
reach the best until later on.
As I say, the stuff with China,
Brilliant.
Mamacita, fantastic. The Radicals. He was injured for a large part of that because of his elbow, which obviously hampered what he could
Early
do.
on, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think he did. They debuted him before he was fully fit, and he re-injured what was injured, so he was out for even longer. I think it was a match on SmackDown that happened in.
We could talk about his great matches all day, but I love his smile.
It's another.
I do. You see him smile, it's like, oh, Eddie. He's great, isn't
And
he?
it's another guy who hit the heights after the Attitude Era stopped, because it was always around. I guess early 2001, he was always European, wasn't he? Rather than Intercontinental. Intercontinental was afterwards.
I was talking to Lewis, one of our writers, and he used to be a pro wrestler, and he mentioned something that's like, you don't necessarily appreciate just how good Eddie was unless you wrestled. And you can identify just the little things in the ring that he's doing. Everything was just so fluid, so smooth. Obviously, he's one of the best in the ring of all time. He was a great promo as well. He had all the charisma in the world. During the Attitude Era, as I say, he just hadn't reached his peak yet. There's nothing against Eddie Guerrero in any way, but if we're talking about the Attitude Era, he's lovely.
Yeah. And especially, take yourself back to when you were a kid during the Attitude Era. When Eddie appeared, did you go like, oh, it's Eddie Guerrero?
No, because I found it really interesting. The dynamic with China is how I remember him. Latino Heat was great.
I guess it was more 2002 when he was just the heel that hated, looked like he came to work.
Yeah.
He used to look like he was really sad being at work when he was in the Continental Championship. I always remember thinking, oh, Eddie Guerrero. Because you never appreciated the good wrestling. No, you just saw the guy who looked miserable and you thought, oh, it's him again.
Yeah.
But again, looking back now, obviously one of the best of all time. In there, deservedly so.
Interesting one here. Yep.
Linda McMahon in the bin.
She's rubbish, wasn't she? Rubbish.
Obviously, she created one of the most celebrated and iconic moments in Attitude Era history at WrestleMania.
But she was still gash.
By hoofing her husband in the nads.
She was still rubbish, wasn't she? It's funny because it's bad.
And it speaks volumes that her true calling as a performer was when she was in a comatose state.
And that's like the rest of the McMahon's here really nailed it. Like Vince, obviously one of the best heels ever. Steph played her role very well. I enjoyed Shane and the Mean Street Posse and all that stuff. Linda was just this befuddled old bat.
I never understood the pop. Why would Linda McMahon get such a big pop every single time she appeared? I never understood it ever. No matter what Jen says on This Week in Wrestling.
No, she couldn't talk. She couldn't do anything. She could just stand up.
Kurt Angle? That's all you need to say. Kurt Angle. He's in the best tier.
Yep.
He was, again, when you're a kid, the guy in the main event scene, you're thinking, oh, why is he in the... Oh, I just don't like him. What a dick. But he's fantastic. One of the best of all time.
For all the right reasons, you're thinking he's a dick. Because he was so good at it. He was so good. And like the various iterations of Kurt Angle, whether you get super intense Kurt Angle or you get goofy comedic Kurt Angle, it's all just brilliant stuff, isn't it? It's all great. So he doesn't take himself too seriously. I really like that in people.
He debuted late 99 against Meat at Survivor Series, I think it was.
Of course it was Meat.
And then right into the start of 2000, the combined title of his Inter-European Championship. What it comes? Eurocontinental. That was the one. Had that reign. That all came to an end at WrestleMania 2000, I think it was. And then we went on to, he was straight in the main event scene, wasn't he? He was the heel in the main event scene.
Yep. I can't think of anyone who has taken to wrestling like a duck to water like Kurt Angle. He's just got it. He just got it. And not just like the in-ring stuff and transitioning from amateur wrestling to pro wrestling. He got the characters, he got the storytelling. He's great, obviously.
I'm going to say to you, Adam, let's see what we say here. In between Undertaker and Kane.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I'm with you. Oof. Mark Henry, just not that good back then.
Nah,
not that good.
I think they signed him to a... well, there's this
10-year deal.
Rumour, isn't it? That they signed him to the 10-year deal and then did everything booking-wise to try and get him to say, oh, this isn't working out, I'm going to leave.
Made a fool of him. And
yeah, stuff with Mae Young, which was nice.
I like it.
It was
nice. I liked him because he persevered with it, right? And he was never entertaining back then. Like, Sexual Chocolate was just there.
The
did
stuff
nothing
with his
for me.
mum was awkward as hell when he was kissing the what was that? I don't know. Oh.
It's not until the Hall of Pain stuff that he got good. It took that long. That long. And, like, I would say just about bearable in the Attitude Era.
Just about bearable. Was he bin worthy? No, I think the storylines keeps him out the bin.
Yep.
But yeah, just about bearable. Didn't really do anything, did he?
Trips.
Obviously in the best.
Yeah.
My immediate thought is below Kane, but above Shawn.
Because he was there for longer.
Because he was there for
great
longer.
Matches.
He was the main event level heel.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was the third man, really, wasn't he? It was Austin, then Rock.
He was always the guy getting beat by Austin or Rock, wasn't he?
Yeah, then Triple H, but he was good, and his main event matches were always entertaining. Lots of shenanigans, obviously.
And he always killed himself. He was always bleeding that period of time. Every single main event match he had, he was always bleeding.
So you're saying between Kane and Shawn was that?
I'd say that, yeah.
Oh, I feel weird putting him below Kane.
I might be slightly biased.
You might. I would put him above Angle.
Would you?
Yeah, I'd put him between Taker and Angle.
The big was obviously part of DX. That was obviously spoke for itself. And he was the leader of his own DX.
Yeah.
Corporation he was in. Mm-hmm. Then he was part of the two-man power trip with Austin.
In the Attitude Era, I think he's better than Angle.
The stuff with Cactus Jack, I think he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
The stuff he put his body through during that period of time was unbelievable. Could he be more than Undertaker?
In the Attitude Era, perhaps as a whole, no. Attitude Era as a microcosm, yeah. Bollocks to it. There you go, Blackman. In the bin? Are you taking the piss?
No, I'm not.
What? Why?
What is he?
He waves sticks about.
Don't be Jack the Jobber on me here.
No, I'm not. I'm not a massive Steve Blackman fan or anything. But when he puts a bin on your head and he goes ba 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 with the sticks, he taking the piss. You're going to put him in the same place as Linda McMahon and Tori.
No, I'm not. No, you said that. Just about bearable then. Yes, he looked amazing. Yes, he hit new heights when he started doing that Bounty Hunter show and started shouting against that fat bitch in the window. If you haven't seen that video, get on YouTube and watch it. But head cheese.
All right, that didn't last long. Come on.
Lion's Den.
His involvement in hardcore matches were great. I don't want him any lower than all right. I'm not suggesting he goes any higher either, but I'm suggesting he's all right.
I guess the hardcore matches.
The theme was great when he came out.
Yeah, I used to enjoy the theme. I'll go with all right then. It's just I never understood him. There's
not much to understand.
No, there's not.
Just had some sticks, but he was entertaining.
In the hardcore matches, yeah, I'll give you that.
Stooges,
fantastic.
Yeah,
they were great.
Yeah, they were very good.
Go back and watch them. Yeah. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
Are they in the best? No.
Goofy old codgers, weren't they? I mean, let's not talk about the ball gown match. But
why not?
Okay, let's talk about the ball gown match. What was your favourite spot, Ross?
Oh, I loved the bit where I can't remember anything that happened.
I think there was a Bronco Buster in there. Or was it a stick face? There's one or the other.
Great stuff.
All right.
Oh, they've got to be in Lovely, Lovely, Lovely.
Why?
They were Vince McMahon's stooges. The little reactions they would always do behind Vince McMahon would always make me laugh.
They are funny. Yeah.
They are funny in their role.
Oh.
Two old men who shouldn't be out there, but they're giving it their best and they're having a great time while they're doing it.
They never made anyone else look stupid. They were always the butt of the joke, so I think I'm going to agree with you.
You've got to appreciate that.
Lower end of Lovely, Lovely, Lovely.
Especially
that's for Blackman, all right?
Perry Saturn.
Another interesting one. I love the Rings of Saturn. A guy with not a great character or everything.
Moppy.
Yeah, all right. Not a great character.
You're welcome.
Oh, man. I think he's all right.
I think all right is just about the limit you can go.
He's a hell of a wrestler.
It's weird, isn't it? Because he did that stuff with, I think he was called Mike Bell, the jobber.
The guy who he tossed out the ring and resulted in the Moppy storyline.
And that was the most success he probably had in WWF at the time.
What, knackering Mike Bell?
No, the Moppy stuff was the most over he ever was.
It's the most memorable iteration of Perry Saturn, I guess. He could always really go in the ring, and his time in WCW often proved that. He had some pretty decent matches there, but I don't think he ever really got a chance to show that off too much with the Radicals and in WWE.
I think All Right is about fair.
Who's this? I can't even tell who that is. Is that Crash?
Crash Holly, who is going in lovely, lovely, lovely.
Yeah, agreed.
Just for that 24/7 rule reign and the stuff he went through in the kiddie pool and all that stuff, fantastic.
Yeah. His little smug face that I can picture on the SmackDown 2 Know Your Role loading screen is enough to get him lovely for me. Allegedly £500. So good, so good.
It's just a shame he wasn't around that long.
Yeah, of course. Like when he was the best in the hardcore division at running away. He was so entertaining. Yeah, I'm happy.
I don't understand what, it's probably been said by a million people, but why is the 24/7 title not what he was doing? No, why is it not just exactly what he was doing?
Remember how excited we were when it finally got introduced? All the potential in the world.
No.
Right. Lovely, lovely, lovely there. Is this just Ivory on her own, I assume?
Right to Censor.
Right to Censor as a whole. Okay. I mean, I'm veering towards lovely, lovely, lovely here.
The gimmick was perfect.
Yeah.
Because they got a real life complaint from what was it? The parents. What group was it that complained? I always forget the word called. But they put this gimmick out in response to this complaint and what they were doing on SmackDown and stuff like that. I forget what it was called.
Yeah, and they referenced it.
Yeah.
I almost said Fathers for Justice.
The parents of something. The parents of America.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And just, when that siren would hit, you think, bloody hell. Jim Ross's hatred was for Steven Richards' white socks always got me for some reason. Why Jim Ross was so against white socks with black trousers, we'll never know.
Stevie Richards is amazing as well. Hell of a super kick.
Yeah, Ivory was the foil for Chyna at WrestleMania 17. She played her role in that. That was her peak as a wrestler in WWF, I thought.
Fair. You know what? The reason that they were so effective for me, especially at that age, is because Paul Buchanan was it's... They were preventing you from seeing the stuff you wanted to see, right? I was a horny little teenager, right? And I wanted to see, like, however awful it is to talk about now, I wanted to see the nudity and I wanted to see the swearing. That's what we were all tuning in for. It's the Attitude Era. I don't need to explain that. And they prevented you from getting what you want. And that's just that's the epitome of what a heel is.
Yeah. Lovely, 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 I think. It didn't have the legs, did it? It didn't go for it that long.
No, it didn't. No, it should have gone for longer.
Yeah.
But you still remember it. Mm-hmm. It feels like maybe it went on for longer than it did because it's so. You think of it when you think of the Attitude Era. Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely.
Rikishi
Fatu
did it for The Rock.
He's all right.
Yeah. Main eventer during this time. Remember, he was the guy who ran over Stone Cold.
Should have never been there though, should he?
No. Well,
bad man Rikishi was just bad.
Just a bad man.
Yeah.
Not much to him. He obviously hit new heights when Too Cool became a thing. And he was dancing, shaking his arse around with Scotty 2 Hotty and Grandmaster Sexay.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
But yeah, the angle with Austin, then he was in the 6-man Hell in a Cell.
He was always out of place. All these massive stars, and then Rikishi's also there. He
was always imposing though, wasn't he? He was always a good wrestler.
No, he was silly.
Silly?
If I think of Rikishi, I think, silly. I think of the man who danced. I don't think when he came out in his dressing gown as the bad man, I don't think, that's imposing. I just think that's a big guy who used to dance and now he's taking himself too seriously. I'd put him in all right.
I think, that's the lowest he can go. Maybe it's a bit too harsh, we'll never know. Then we have Too Cool, Grandmaster Sexay and Scotty 2 Hotty. They were just fun, weren't they?
They were fun. Which makes me want to put them in lovely, lovely, lovely.
I think that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Remember when Grandmaster Sexay would go on the top rope and put his goggles down and Scotty 2 Hotty doing the worm?
Yeah, really
everyone would have a great time when they came out dancing. Everyone would join in at the end when they would do the bloody thing at the end. Grandmaster Sexay, for some reason, would always move like that on the early SmackDown games. Never got that, me.
I can't do it. I'm happy with lovely, lovely, lovely.
They were just a good hoot, weren't they? So then we get on to Trish Stratus, who debuted and then was almost immediately part of TNA. She was a dog for a bit. The Vince McMahon thing.
Yes.
She was Vince's mistress, which put Linda in the comatose state. Her and Stephanie had an unexpectedly great match, didn't they, that one time?
Yeah, it was good.
Obviously, this is the very start of Trish Stratus, and we didn't really see the best of her until Ruthless Aggression was really off the floor.
You could always tell she had something special. And it's one of those things, once again, with the limitations imposed, she stood out in the same way that Lita did.
She had good matches with Lita as well.
She did.
TNA versus Team Extreme. Team Extreme, bloody hell, Ross.
I'd put her in Lovely, Lovely, Lovely.
Do you reckon, I was going to say top of all right just for attitude, if we're saying it stopped at 2001.
Her promos backstage were always really good as well. When she was basically using her sexiness, I guess, to get what she wanted. I thought she did that really well. Like that, she played that character.
Hell of a kisser as well with Vince.
Hell of a kisser.
God Almighty, they would put hair on your eyes. Yeah, I'm fine with that, I guess.
Yeah.
There was an opener. It was TNA, all three of them involved with Team Extreme, all three of them as well, and it was great. I think it might be in Fully Loaded again.
Right.
Someone put me right in the comments below. It was early on in Trish's career when she wasn't really known for wrestling.
What's the Fink here?
The Fink is here, Adam, because he's the greatest ring announcer of all time.
Yeah, he is. I really like Chimmel as well, but yeah, Fink's there. I watched back the thing, you know, when was it Punk and Del Rio? And he came out and he's just welling up. It meant so much to him. His adorable little pea head crinkling up as he's crying. Punk comes out. Oh, what are you doing here? He was brilliant, wasn't he? He's top of Lovely, Lovely, Lovely.
He is. How can you not call Howard Finkel lovely, lovely,
He's
lovely?
He's great, isn't he? He's adorable.
Is he in the best?
God, shall we?
We'll put him in the best. Let's put him below China. I thought I'd put him in just because he is another voice of the Attitude Era, isn't he?
Where's bloody Kevin Kelly? Right. Okay, there you go. We'll put him in the best.
I was right for putting him in this tier, wasn't I? He is one of the voices of the Attitude Era.
Like Chimmel was about then as well, wasn't he? He didn't bother. You just love Fink, don't you?
I love Howard Finkel. So then we have Kai and Tai, who I could have split up into one each, Funaki and Taka, but I don't think Funaki wrestled on his own until the Ruthless Aggression really kicked off.
Yeah, and if you had, like, I forgot about Taka's light heavyweight stuff as well.
Yeah.
They were funny. I don't think they're lovely, lovely, lovely funny. Yeah.
Let's do this. I'll do that. You do the voice.
Indeed. You know, that was Shane McMahon.
Was it?
That was Shane doing the voice, yeah. I think they're top end of all right.
They were obviously, apparently they're both really legitimately hard.
Oh, Taka especially.
All the Kai and Tai lads who debuted as part of that stable with Choppy PP and whatnot were very dangerous men, legitimately.
Oh, right.
But yeah, they both did the heel stuff and the babyface stuff very well. Funaki, SmackDown's #1 announcer. I know that was after the Attitude Era, but still. The stuff that were Indeed with it, it was just fun, wasn't it?
They were both very good at taking a beating. That's what I remember. They sold very well.
And Taka nearly took the title off Triple H, didn't he?
I thought
it was going to happen.
Oh, and props to the Michinoku driver as well.
Yeah.
What a finisher. God, what a way to finish. Where are we going? Top end of all right? What a way to finish. Right. Okay, so obviously it's the best. Stone Cold Steve Austin, by the way. Above or below The Rock?
So we're looking at this, obviously, the vacuum of the Attitude Era. Rock and Austin, clearly the two top stars of this era, but who is, Adam, the top star?
Okay.
In your opinion?
We'll go 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yes. Yeah, there we go.
Stone Cold is the best of the best. Bret Hart, change your catchphrase.
He is the Attitude Era. That is the man that embodies the Attitude Era. He couldn't have done it without Vince, but Austin was unlike anything we'd seen before, and he propelled wrestling into a pop culture phenomenon. He's Stone Cold Steve Austin. What do you say?
What do you say? We're going to celebrate Austin 316 Day on Monday. Can't wait to see what he does. This is going up before that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going up this weekend.
But yeah, what do you have to say about Stone Cold Steve Austin? Him versus McMahon is the main feud of the Attitude Era. Austin's popularity is what everyone seems to credit as being the thing that took that era to the very next level.
It's the most popular storyline ever.
The moments, you can reel them off one by one, can't you? The Zamboni, the bloody Austin Tyson.
Beer bar, yeah.
The heel turn eventually at WrestleMania X7. Oh, heel Austin's my favourite Austin.
Why?
I love heel Austin. Just the intensity of the bloke.
Yeah.
Unbelievable scenes.
Yeah, fair. Okay. Well, no, I don't know.
And the comedy as well with Kurt Angle.
The cowboy hats.
Yeah.
I mean, we can list off more moments if you want, but he's a Stone Cold Steve Austin, isn't he? I don't know what you say.
You might disagree that he is. What could be the argument that people might say that The Rock is the bigger one?
Because he's more popular now.
Well, that's not the point, is it?
No, exactly. No, Austin was better.
Yeah, he just was, wasn't he?
Yeah, and although he had to adjust his wrestling style because of the injury and everything, he still made it work. He still made that. And like Rock at that point, I guess, was better in ring than Austin, but it didn't matter because he's Stone Cold Steve Austin, isn't he?
So, we've come to the end of this tiered ranking for the Attitude Era. The only category, because we've been pretty unanimous with all of them so far, is the bin. Does anybody deserve to get out the bin?
If there's one person that does, it's Tori, but she doesn't. Have fun with Linda.
That is it for this tier ranking.
God, Linda's crap, isn't she?
She is, isn't she?
So rubbish.
Don't let Jennifer Louise tell you.
Ironic, it must be. She is bloody awful.
The most baffling pop in professional wrestling history was the Linda McMahon pop. I never understood it, never will. Anyway, that's our ranking. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Adam, Gary, any closing thoughts?
Right, Gary. No. No, not at all. I think we've absolutely nailed this, and nobody's going to disagree with anything that we've done today.
Howard Finkel. We'll see you next time on Tier Things. What's it called? This
Tier list.
Yeah. Jeez. Bloody hell. They take a while, these, don't they? I'm knackered.